Asking clarifying questions is a mini lesson for pure questioning, or more than one mini lesson depending on how you split it up. Sharon Taberski says in her book, Comprehension from the Ground Up, that children need to engage in purposeful, high-level talk with one another. It helps them more fully understand, appreciate, and remember what they're learning. What does the word clarifying mean? We're going to learn how to ask clarifying questions, and that question actually helps me answer our question. That title is a clarifying question. To clarify is to make something clear. If a person did not know what the word clarify meant, then he would ask. If I do not know the meaning of a word, then the word is not clear to me, and I do not understand. Clarify equals make clear. When we ask what something means, we're asking a clarifying question. So these are basically the things that I would say to my class. We'll go on to the next slide. Why would I ask a clarifying question? Well, sometimes we talk about things we like to do. We might like something so much that we could be an expert in it. We know all about it. Experts on baseball know all about baseball. They know the names of the equipment, the positions, many famous players. Experts on baseball may also know a lot of facts about the game. Because experts know a lot about something, they might forget other people do not know all the names and facts. If an expert says something I do not understand, then I ask a clarifying question. So this is another small discussion that I would have with my students. How would I ask a clarifying question? Well, with our friends and family, we do this very naturally as we talk together. If someone is talking in front of the class and we do not understand something, then we raise our hand. When that person stops and calls on us, then we ask our clarifying question. If I do not understand something, I will raise my hand right away. Sometimes we have to wait a little while until the person speaking finishes sharing their thought. It's important to begin to model and talk about with your students how they will not just call out their questions and they will raise their hand, and there will be a model for how things are to take place, and you'll set that up in your mini lesson. When do I ask a clarifying question? Well, we're going to practice asking those clarifying questions right now. I'm going to read this book to you, and we will practice asking clarifying questions together. We will all be asking each other clarifying questions when we give our show and teach, and I'm going to model that for you, and we will practice that together. So honestly, at this point, you could have either ended your first mini lesson with the first 4 slides, and you could continue here at another time, or you can put this whole mini lesson together. So if you are going to go on, the next slide will show you an anchor chart, or the beginnings of an anchor chart that you would want to have in your read aloud area. This is what I would want to have posted in my read aloud or mini lesson area. The question words: what, why, how, when, where. So that when I am asking, what does the word clarifying mean? Why would I ask a clarifying question? How would I ask it? I am referring back to this chart. These words are what you will use to ask clarifying questions. And I would also have at the bottom, clarify equals to make clear, to help us understand something. So this will be hanging for reference for them. And when they come up and practice doing this with you, as you are turning and releasing this to them, they are going to be able to point to these words and show which question word they're going to begin their clarifying question with. It's a great visual aid. Ongoing practice. Here is where I would probably have a second mini lesson beginning. I would have selected a book to read that I knew my class would be unfamiliar with, either because of where it was or because of what was happening. I would already have selected places in the text that I was going to stop and ask a question. I would have marked those. So I'm going to tell the students, I'm going to be stopping in the book when you need to clarify something, or when I need to clarify something For example, if I do not know what a word means, I will ask a what question, be referring back to my chart. If I need more information about where something is, I would ask a where question, again referring to the chart. If the activity is new to me and I don't understand the purpose, I will ask a why question. If I don't understand how these events go together, I will ask a how question. You may practice asking clarifying questions after reading one book. You may have another mini lesson where you choose a different book. You may have students begin to come up and ask the clarifying questions, pointing to their question word on the chart and modeling it for the students as you gradually release this process and this responsibility to them. And they are going to be asking their peers questions. So ideally, at some point, you're going to have a student come up and read an excerpt from one of their books. Now, this may not be something they're unfamiliar with, but at least at this point, they would have had practice asking clarifying questions. So now they are going to begin asking these questions of each other. The idea is to release this conversation to them. In preparation, in my class, it was preparation for show and teach, when the students would bring in their items that they were experts about, and they would teach their peers, and their peers would then ask clarifying questions to really deepen the conversation. How to differentiate this mini lesson or mini lessons? With prompting and encouragement, most students engage in asking clarifying questions after 2 mini lessons. However, students with language processing issues, which I have in my classroom, or English language learners may need several more opportunities for practice and modeling with you or in a small group. Sharon Tversky says, if we truly want to differentiate instruction, then small groups and one-on-one teaching are the way to go. Here's how I would set it up. First, I would model my wondering about a topic or about a book out loud. So as I wonder and I think things, I'm doing that out loud. I would ask my student to help me form a question over what I'm wondering about, using the question words. I would either have them listed with me, or we would be at the anchor chart. At that point, the student would try to form the question, and then we would repeat the question, making sure that it answered what I was wondering about. And then I could, when we finally find the question that really touches on my wondering, and then I can answer the question. So have the students try these steps with you several times. Maybe there's a partner or peer they feel comfortable with that you could have them practice with. Most of my students who have needed this differentiated support have just needed to practice again and again and again using these words, and then being prompted later, they were able to do it in whole group with confidence. The references for this mini lesson were The Princess Storyteller, Clarifier, Quincy Questioner, and The Wizard, Reciprocal Teaching Adapted for Kindergarten Students. That's where I really got the idea of teaching my students to ask clarifying questions. Myers uses puppets with her kindergartners. I did not do that, but I really did enjoy learning how she broke the process of storytelling, questioning, clarifying, and summarizing down. It was a great article. Then, of course, I had a quote in there from Sharon Tversky's book, Comprehension from the Ground Up, where she really makes clear that if we are going to differentiate for students, that is going to be in a one-on-one situation. That is how you differentiate. Appreciated her input, as always.